Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.E.S. Defiance, watching the stars through the large window. His ship was the best Earth had ever built. It carried the hopes of humanity as they traveled to meet their alien friends on New Valoran. Jake had been a soldier for 20 years. He fought in wars on Earth and helped explore space. But nothing prepared him for what he would see today. The Valorans were Earth's first alien friends. They looked like humans, but had skin that sparkled like crystals in the light. They were kind and peaceful people who loved to learn and share knowledge. "Captain, we're getting close to New Valoran," said Lieutenant Sam Brooks from his station. Sam was young but smart. He handled all the ship's communications and sensors. "Good. Open. A channel to the planet," Jake ordered. He wanted to talk to Elder Zarthul, the Valoran leader who had become like a father to him over the years. But no answer came. The radio was silent. Dr. Karen White looked worried. She was the ship's doctor and expert on alien life. "That's strange. The Valorans always answer our calls right away. They're excited to see us." Admiral Lisa Grant walked onto the bridge. She was the highest military officer on the ship and Jake's boss. Her face was hard and serious. "Captain, we just got a message from Earth Command. They picked up some kind of distress signal from New Valoran 3 days ago." Then nothing. Jake felt his stomach drop. Something was very wrong. "Take us closer, but be ready for anything," Jake told his crew. The Defiance moved forward through space toward the blue and green planet that had been the Valorans' home for thousands of years. As they got closer, Jake could see something terrible. The planet's surface was covered with huge black spots. Smoke rose from what used to be beautiful cities. The crystal towers that sparkled in the sunlight were gone. Only ruins remained. "Oh, God," whispered Dr. White. "What happened here?" Commander Alex Rodriguez joined them on the bridge. He was Jake's second in command and best friend. They had fought together in 3 wars. Alex was the kind of man you wanted next to you in a fight. "Sir, I'm reading no life signs from the planet. Nothing at all." Jake's hands shook with anger. "Get me a landing team ready. We're going down there." "Captain, it might be dangerous," Admiral Grant warned. "I don't care. Those are our friends down there. We need to know what happened." 2 hours later, Jake walked through the ruins of Veltar, the capital city of New Valoran. His boots crunched on broken crystal and ash. The air smelled of smoke and death. Commander Rodriguez and Dr. White walked beside him, along with 10 other soldiers. The city had been beautiful once. Jake remembered visiting here last year. Crystal buildings reached toward the sky like frozen music. Gardens filled with strange and wonderful plants grew everywhere. Valoran children played in the streets, their laughter echoing off the crystal walls. Now it was all gone. The buildings were melted and twisted. The gardens were burned. And the children... Jake found the first body near what used to be a school. It was a young Valoran, maybe 10 years old. His crystal skin was cracked and dark. Jake knelt down and closed the child's eyes. "They didn't even fight back," Dr. White said quietly. She was examining another body. "These are energy weapon burns. Military grade. But there are no weapons here. No signs of battle." Commander Rodriguez called out from across the street. "Captain, over here." Jake ran to where his friend was standing. Rodriguez pointed to a building that was less damaged than the others. "It's some kind of government building. Maybe we can find answers inside." They went into the building carefully. The hallways were dark and filled with debris. But in the center, they found a large room with crystal walls. It had been the Valoran Council Chamber. Dr. White found a computer. That still worked. She was good with alien technology. "I'm getting some data here. It looks like..." "Oh no. What is it?" Jake demanded. It's a recording from Elder Zarthul, made right before. She couldn't finish the sentence. Jake's heart pounded. Play it. The crystal walls glowed, and suddenly Elder Zarthul appeared like a ghost in the room. Jake had known this alien leader for 5 years. Zarthul was wise and kind, with silver crystal skin that showed his age. But in the recording, he looked scared and sad. "My dear human friends," Zarthul's voice echoed in the empty chamber. "If you are hearing this, then we are gone. The Galactic Council came to us with their warships. They said we broke their laws by being friends with Earth. They said humans are too dangerous to have allies." Jake felt sick. The Galactic Council was a group of alien races that controlled most of the galaxy. Earth had tried to join them, but they said humans were too young and violent. "We tried to explain," Zarthul continued. "We told them that humans are good people, that you helped us and we helped you. But they would not listen. They said we must die as an example to other races, that no one should help humans." The recording showed explosions outside the building. Zarthul looked toward the sound. Then, back at the camera, "We are going to die now, my friends. But we die proud to call you allies. Do not let our sacrifice be forgotten. Show the galaxy what happens when you hurt the friends of Earth." The recording ended. The room was silent except for the wind blowing through the broken walls. Lieutenant Brooks spoke through the radio. "Captain, we're finding the same thing all over the planet. Every city, every town, every farm. There are no survivors. They killed everyone." Jake stood up slowly. His hands were shaking, but not from fear. From rage, pure, burning rage. "How many?" he asked quietly. "Sir, how many Valorans lived on this planet?" Dr. White checked her computer. 15 million. Men, women, children, all dead. Commander Rodriguez put his hand on Jake's shoulder. "Jake, we need to go. There might be council ships coming back." But Jake wasn't listening. He was looking at a picture on the wall. It showed human and Valoran children playing together during a cultural exchange last year. His own daughter had been in that group. "Sir?" Brooks called again. Jake picked up the radio. "This is Captain Morrison. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Valorans are all dead, murdered by the Galactic Council for being our friends." "Yes." "Sir, what are your orders?" Jake looked around the ruined council chamber one more time. He thought about Elder Zarthul words. He thought about 15 million innocent people killed just for being friends with humans. "Tell them we're coming home. And tell them to get ready for war." As the Defiance left the dead planet behind, Jake made a promise to his murdered friends. The galaxy would learn what happened when you hurt the allies of Earth. They would learn that humans never forget, and they never forgive those who kill their friends. The war was about to begin. President Paul Mitchell sat in the war room deep under the White House. The room was filled with the most important people on Earth. Everyone looked tired and angry. The news from New Valoran had reached Earth 12 hours ago. 15 million, said Secretary of State Rachel Kim. She was reading the report for the 10th time. They killed 15 million innocent people just for being our friends. General Mike Thompson slammed his fist on the table. Mike was a big man with gray hair and scars from old battles. "We should have seen this coming. The Council has been pushing us around for years. Now they've gone too far." Admiral Lisa Grant had just returned from space. She looked exhausted from the long journey. The massacre was complete, professional. They used military ships and energy weapons. This wasn't some accident or mistake. They planned to kill every Valoran on that planet. President Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. He was thinking about the children. Always the children. What do we know about the Galactic Council's next move? Dr. Corinne White pulled up a hologram in the center of the room. It showed the galaxy and all the alien races in it. Intelligence says they're sending a message to Earth. It should arrive in the next few hours. "Let me guess," said General Thompson. "Surrender or die." "Probably," Admiral Grant agreed. "The Council has used this pattern before. They destroy one ally to scare others into submission." Captain Jake Morrison was also in the room. He had flown straight to Earth after finding the dead planet. His uniform was still dirty from walking through the ruins. "With respect, sir, we're past talking now. They murdered our friends. All of them." "I know, Captain," President Mitchell said. "But we need to be smart about this. The Council has hundreds of worlds and thousands of ships. We have 50 planets and maybe 200 combat ships." "Numbers don't tell the whole story," said Commander Alex Rodriguez. He was sitting next to Jake. "The Council is used to fighting. Races that give up quickly. They've never fought humans before." Rachel Kim looked worried. "If we start a war, millions of our people could die. Maybe billions. Is revenge worth that?" The room went silent. Everyone was thinking about their families, their children, their homes. Jake stood up. "It's not about revenge. It's about what's right. The Valorans died because they were our friends. If we do nothing, who's next? The Cathara traders? The mollusk gardeners? Every alien race in the galaxy will learn that being friends with humans means death." "The captain's right," said General Thompson. "This is about more than just the Valorans. This is about whether free races can exist in this galaxy, or if the Council controls everything." President Mitchell looked around the room. "Admiral Grant, what's our real military situation?" "Lisa." Grant pulled up another hologram. "We've been building ships and weapons for 10 years, ever since the Council first rejected our membership. We have Project Sleeping Giant ready to activate." "What's Sleeping Giant?" asked Rachel Kim. General Thompson smiled for the first time. "All day. Something we hoped we'd never need. We've been secretly placing weapon platforms, supply bases, and automated defenses throughout human space. We also have hidden colonies that the Council doesn't know about," Dr. White added. "And we have something else. The Valoran technology we've been working on together. Their crystal energy systems are more advanced than anything the Council has." Seen from a primitive race. Lieutenant Sam Brooks entered the room carrying a datapad. "Sir, the Council's message just arrived." President Mitchell nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The hologram changed to show 3 alien beings. In the center was a tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms. This was High Counselor Vrex of the Xanthari Empire. On his left was a short, fat alien with tentacles instead of arms. This was Diplomat Glurb of the Hegemony. On the right was a creature that looked like a giant insect with multiple eyes. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Vrex said in a cold voice. "By now you have learned of the fate of the Valorans. This was necessary to maintain order in the galaxy." Jake's fists clenched. Admiral Grant put a hand on his shoulder to keep him calm. "The Valorans violated the Primitive Species Protection Act," Vrex continued. "They shared advanced technology with a species deemed too aggressive for galactic civilization. This cannot be allowed." Diplomat Glurb spoke next. His voice was wet and disgusting. "The Council offers Earth one chance. Submit to our guidance. Accept our oversight of your military and technology. Allow us to manage your expansion into space. Do this, and your species will be allowed to survive." The insect creature clicked its mandibles. "You have 72 hours to decide. Refuse, and Earth will share the fate of New Valoran. This message ends now." The hologram disappeared. The room was silent. 72 hours, President Mitchell said quietly. "Mr. President," said Jake, "we can't let them do this. The Valorans trusted us. They died because of that trust. We owe them justice. Justice? Rachel Kim asked. Against an empire that spans the galaxy? We'd be committing suicide. Maybe, said General Thompson, but we'd be dying free. And maybe, just maybe, we'd take enough of them with us to make other races brave enough to fight back. Admiral Grant stood up. I've been studying the Council's military records. They're used to fighting races that use old technology and simple tactics. They've never faced an enemy that adapts quickly or thinks outside the box. What are you saying? President Mitchell asked. I'm saying we might have a chance, Lisa replied. Not a good chance, but a chance. We have advantages they don't expect. We're used to fighting each other, so we know how to fight smart. We have Valoran technology, and we have something the Council doesn't understand. What's that? Asked Dr. White. Anger, said Jake. Pure, focused anger. The kind that doesn't quit and doesn't give up. President Mitchell walked to the window. Outside, he could see the lights of Washington, D.C., millions of people going about their lives, not knowing that their world was about to change forever. If we do this, he said, there's no going back. Win or lose, humanity will never be the same. We're not the same already, Commander Rodriguez said. The moment they killed our friends, we became something different. The question is, what do we become now? President Mitchell turned back to the room. General Thompson began activating Sleeping Giant. Admiral Grant, prepare the fleet. Dr. White, I want every piece of Valoran technology studied and copied. We're going to need every advantage we can get. Yes, sir, they all said. And Captain Morrison, the President added, I want you to record a message. Not just to Earth, but to every race in the galaxy. Tell them what happened to the Valorans. Tell them what the Council really is. Jake nodded. What should I say? Tell them that Earth does not forget its friends. And tell them that the age of the Galactic Council is over. As the meeting broke up, Rachel Kim approached the President. Sir, are you sure about this? We're about to start a war we probably can't win. President Mitchell looked at the picture of new Valoran on the wall. 15 million crystal beings, all dead because they dared to be friends with humans. Rachel, there are some things worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. Friendship is another. The Valorans died for both. Now it's our turn to honor their sacrifice. Outside, the first human war fleets began to move. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you murdered the friends of Earth. The Council had made their choice when they killed the Valorans. Now humanity would make theirs. The 72 hours were up. President Paul Mitchell stood before the cameras in the White House. But his message would go to every world in the galaxy, not just Earth. Behind him stood the flag of Earth and a new flag, black with a crystal. Star in the center, representing the murdered Valorans. People of Earth and beings of the galaxy, Mitchell began. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council gave us a choice. Submit to their rule or die like our friends the Valorans. The President's voice was calm, but filled with steel. I speak for all of humanity when I say this. We will not kneel. We will not submit. We will not forget our friends. Captain Jake. Morrison watched the broadcast from his new ship, the UES Vengeance. It was the most powerful warship humanity had ever built. Its hull was made from a mix of human steel and Valoran crystal technology. The ship could fight 10 Council vessels at once. Today, we declare our independence from the tyranny of the Galactic Council, President Mitchell continued. We call upon all free races to join us. The age of fear is over. The age of freedom begins now. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Liberty. Around her, 200 human ships waited in formation. Hidden throughout the galaxy, the Sleeping Giant defense network came online. Automated weapon platforms, supply. bases, and communication relays that had been secretly built over 10 years. Furthermore, the president said, we announced the formation of the Free Species Alliance. Any race that wants to live free is welcome to join us. Any race that wants to trade, learn, and grow without fear of the Council's justice has our support. General Mike Thompson was on the ground, preparing Earth's defenses. Every major city now had energy shields powered by Valoran crystal technology. Weapons that could destroy Council ships were hidden in mountains and under the ocean. If the Council wanted to take Earth, they would pay a terrible price. The Council says we are too young, too violent, too primitive for galactic civilization. Mitchell said, they are wrong. We are young enough to dream of a better galaxy. We are violent enough to fight for those dreams, and we are primitive enough to remember what freedom means. Dr. Corinne White worked in her laboratory, combining human engineering with Valoran science. The crystal energy systems were incredible. They could power weapons that bent space itself, shields that turned energy attacks back on the attacker, and engines that could outrun any Council ship. To the Council, we say this. The president's voice grew harder. You had your chance for peace. You chose murder instead. You killed 15 million innocent beings for the crime of friendship. Now you will face the consequences. The first Council response came within hours. A fleet of 50 ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were led by War Commander Zekther, a reptilian alien known for destroying rebel worlds. Humans. Zekther's voice crackled over the radio. You have made a foolish choice. Surrender now, and some of you may survive to serve the Council. Captain Morrison smiled grimly. Admiral Grant, are you receiving this? Copy that, Captain. All ships? This is Admiral Grant. Execute Operation Prometheus. Show them what happens when you kill our friends. The human fleet attacked with a fury the Council had never seen. Instead of fighting in neat formations like civilized races, the humans swarmed like angry bees. They used missiles that exploded. Into smaller missiles, energy weapons that fired in unpredictable patterns, and tactics that made no sense to traditional military thinking. Council ships were designed to fight other Council ships. They expected their enemies to follow the same rules, use the same strategies, fight the same way. But humans had learned warfare, fighting each other for thousands of years. They knew how to be unpredictable, how to be vicious, how to win against impossible odds. The Battle of Sol lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 47 Council ships were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet lost only 3 ships, and those crews were rescued before their vessels exploded. War Commander Zekther was captured alive. When they brought him aboard the UES Vengeance, he looked at Captain Morrison with confusion and fear. How? Zekther asked. How did primitives defeat trained Council warriors? Jake looked at the alien commander with cold eyes. We're not primitives. We're humans. And you killed our friends. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. Races that had lived in fear of the Council for centuries began to whisper about the humans who had fought back and won. The Kithara, a race of traders who looked like tall, thin cats, sent a secret message to Earth. We will help you, their leader said. For too long, the Council has controlled our trade routes and taken our profits. Show us how to fight. The mollusk gardeners, peaceful plant growers who lived in the outer rim, also reached out. The Council destroys our gardens when we don't. Give them enough food, they said. We are tired of being slaves. Even the mysterious Sage Collective, ancient beings who rarely spoke to anyone, sent a message. The Council fears knowledge and wisdom. They keep other races ignorant to maintain power. We will share our secrets with those who fight for freedom. Dr. White was amazed by the alien technology that began flowing to Earth. Kithara navigation systems, that could jump across the galaxy in seconds. Mollusk bioweapons that could eat through Council ship hulls. Sage quantum computers that could predict enemy movements. But the most important message came from an unexpected source. Deep in Council space, a group of young aliens from different races had formed a secret organization. They called themselves the Liberation Front. "We have watched the Council destroy our worlds for centuries," their leader said. "We have seen families torn apart, children taken from parents, entire cultures erased, but we were too afraid to fight back. You humans have shown us that the Council can be beaten. We want to help." Admiral Grant realized that humanity had started something much bigger than a war. They had started a revolution. "Captain Morrison," she said over the radio, "we're getting reports of uprisings on 12 Council worlds. The Liberation Front is sabotaging Council bases, freeing prisoners, and stealing ships to join our cause." Jake smiled. For the first time since finding the dead children on New Valoran, he felt hope. "Admiral, I think we're going to win this war." "How can you be sure?" she asked. "Because we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for everyone who ever lost a friend to the Council. Everyone who ever had their home destroyed for defying the Council. Everyone who ever dreamed of freedom." President Mitchell's final words echoed across the galaxy. The Council ruled through fear. But fear only works if people believe they cannot fight back. Today, humanity has shown the galaxy that tyrants can be beaten. Tomorrow, we will show them that freedom is worth any price. The war was far from over. The Council had thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity. And they had never faced a galaxy united in anger and hope. The revolution had begun. And it would not stop until every being in the galaxy was free to choose their own path, make their own friends, and live their own lives without fear of the Council's justice. Elder Zarthu's sacrifice would not be in vain. The Crystal Cities would rise again, and this time they would never fall to tyranny. The war had been raging for 6 months. The galaxy was on fire. What started as Earth's revenge for the Valorans had become the largest rebellion in galactic history. Hundreds of worlds had joined the Free Species Alliance, and the Galactic Council was losing control. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UE's Vengeance as it approached the Kepler's Gate system. This was going to be the biggest space battle humanity had ever fought. The Council's third enforcement wing was waiting for them. 60 massive warships led by the dreadnought Eternal Dominion. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison," Jake spoke into his radio. "Remember why we're here. Remember New Valoran. Remember our friends." The human fleet was smaller than the Council force, but it wasn't alone. Kithara trading ships had been converted into fast attack vessels. Mollusk bioships could heal themselves when damaged. Sage collective vessels seemed to bend reality itself. With their quantum weapons, Admiral Lisa Grant commanded the overall battle from her flagship UE's Liberty. She had been studying Council tactics for months, learning their weaknesses. All units, engage Pattern Omega. Show them what happens when you fight a pack of wolves. The battle began with the Council ships forming their traditional wall formation. It was how they always fought, a line of big ships shooting at another line of big ships. But the human fleet didn't form a line. They scattered like a swarm of angry insects. Jake led his squadron in a diving attack on the Council's left flank. His ship, enhanced with Valoran crystal technology, moved faster than any Council ship could match. Behind him, 12 other human vessels followed in a tight formation. "Target their engines," Jake ordered. "Cripple them. Don't try to destroy them all at once." The human ships fired in sequence, their weapons tearing through the Council fleet's rear shields. The big Council ships tried to turn to face this new threat, but they were too slow. By the time they turned around, the human ships had already moved to attack from a different angle. Commander Alex Rodriguez was leading another group of ships in a completely different part of the battle. His squadron was working with the Cathara, vessels using their superior speed to hit the Council ships and run away before they could fight back. "It's working," Rodriguez called over the radio. "The Council ships don't know which way to face. They're shooting at each other." Dr. Karen White was aboard the hospital ship U.S. Mercy, but she was also monitoring the battle. The Valoran crystal. Weapons were performing better than anyone had hoped. They could punch through Council shields like they were made of paper. "Admiral Grant," she reported, "the crystal weapon systems are running at 120% efficiency. Whatever the Valorans put in these crystals, it's specifically designed to fight Council technology." Admiral Grant smiled grimly. Even in death, the Valorans were still helping their human friends. The tide of battle began to turn when the Sage Collective ships arrived. These ancient beings had weapons that worked on principles human science couldn't understand. They could make Council ships simply vanish or turn their own weapons against them. "Council fleet," Admiral Grant broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Grant of the Free Species Alliance. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender now, and we will treat you with more mercy than you showed the Valorans." The Council. Commander Admiral Thizes was a proud warrior from the Xanthari Empire. "Never. The Council does not surrender to primitives." "Then you'll die like the rest of your kind," Jake said coldly. The final phase of the battle was swift and brutal. The human ships, working together with their alien allies, tore through the Council formation like a knife through paper. The massive Council ships, built to intimidate and overwhelm, were helpless against the small, fast human vessels that attacked from every direction at once. Admiral Tice's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, was the last Council ship still fighting. It was surrounded by 20 human vessels, all firing at once. The ship's shields flickered and died. "Admiral Thizes," Jake called over the radio, "your ship is dead. Your crew is dead. Surrender now or join them." For a moment, there was silence. Then Thizes spoke, his voice full of disbelief. "How? How did you defeat us?" "We have the finest ships, the best weapons, the most experienced crews in the galaxy." "You have all those things," Jake agreed, "but you don't have what we have." "What's that?" "Friends who are willing to die for each other, and the memory of friends who already did." The Eternal Dominion's engines shut down. The battle was over. The Council's third enforcement wing had been destroyed or captured. Not a single Alliance ship was lost, but the real victory came from what happened next. Across the galaxy, the news of the Battle of Kepler's Gate spread like wildfire. The Council's most powerful fleet had been defeated by a mixed force of humans and their allies. Lieutenant Sam Brooks was monitoring communications from his post on the U's Vengeance. "Captain, we're getting reports from all over the galaxy. Uprisings on 47 Council worlds. The Liberation Front is taking over entire star systems. On the planet Zarian, a species that looked like walking trees had overthrown their Council governors. On Nalthus Prime, the insect-like hive collective had kicked out the Council tax collectors and declared independence. Even on some of the Council's core worlds, rebellion was spreading. General Mike Thompson was coordinating the ground war from Earth. The Council's biggest weakness is that they rule by fear," he explained to President Mitchell. "Once people stop being afraid, the whole system falls apart." The most important breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of young Council citizens, mostly from species that had been conquered generations ago, had formed a secret network called the Truth Speakers. "We have been spreading the real story of what happened to the Valorans," their leader explained in a coded message to Earth. "Most Council citizens never knew the truth. They were told that the Valorans were dangerous rebels who had to be stopped. When they learned that 15 million innocent people were murdered just for being friends with humans, many of them turned against the Council. Dr. White was working with scientists from 12 different species to develop new weapons and technologies. The combination of human engineering, Valoran crystals, Kithara navigation, mollusk biotechnology, and sage quantum science was creating wonders that none of them could have achieved alone. "We're not just winning battles," she reported to Admiral Grant. "We're creating a new kind of civilization, one where different species work together instead of being ruled by fear." The Council's response was predictable and desperate. They began destroying their own worlds rather than let them fall to the Alliance. On Corvus 7, they used Planet Killer, weapons to murder 3 billion of their own citizens rather than let them join the rebellion. This only made more species angry. The Gentle Singers, a peaceful race that had never fought anyone, joined the Alliance after the Council destroyed their colony ships. The Crystal Builders, who had been neutral for centuries, began building weapons for the Alliance after Council forces bombed their art galleries. President Mitchell addressed the galaxy again, 6 months after his first declaration of war. "The Council says we are the aggressors. They say we are the ones bringing violence to the galaxy. But we ask you, who murdered 15 million innocent Valorans? Who destroys planets rather than let them be free? Who rules through fear and death?" Captain Morrison was preparing for the next phase of the war. Intelligence reports showed that the Council was gathering their remaining forces for a final assault on Earth itself. They planned to use their most powerful weapons to destroy humanity's homeworld as an example to other rebels. "Let them come," Jake said to his crew. "We'll be ready." Commander Rodriguez was more worried. "Jake, they're talking about bringing 1,000 ships, maybe more. Even with our allies, we might not be able to stop them all." "Ben will die trying," Jake replied. "But we won't die alone, and we won't die as slaves." The final battle was coming. The Council was going to make one last attempt to crush the rebellion by destroying Earth. But they didn't understand what they were facing. They thought they were fighting humans and their alien allies. They were wrong. They were fighting the idea of freedom itself. And ideas, once released, are very hard to kill. The galaxy held its breath as the largest fleet in Council history began moving toward Earth. The war that started with the murder of the Valorans was about to reach its climax, and the outcome would determine whether the galaxy would remain under the Council's thumb, or whether a new age of freedom would begin. Elder Zarthel's last words echoed across space. "Show the galaxy what happens when you hurt the friends of Earth." The galaxy was about to find out. The largest fleet in galactic history approached Earth. 1,000 Council ships, led by the massive space station Hegemon Prime, moved through space like a dark cloud of death. The Council had gathered every remaining vessel from across the galaxy for this final battle. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UEC Vengeance, watching the enemy fleet approach. Behind him, the combined forces of the Free Species Alliance waited in formation. 500 human ships, 300 Kithara vessels, 200 mollusk bioships, and 50 Sage collective craft that seemed to shimmer between dimensions. "All ships, this is Admiral Grant." Lisa's voice came over the radio. "Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the future of every free being in the galaxy. Remember the Valorans. Remember what we're fighting for." President Paul Mitchell was in the command bunker deep under Washington, D.C. The entire surface of Earth was protected by energy shields powered by Valoran crystal technology. Every major city had weapons that could destroy Council ships. If the space battle was lost, Earth would still fight. "Mr. President," General Mike Thompson reported, "ground defenses are ready, Every human on Earth is armed and ready to fight. They won't take our world without a fight. High above Earth, the Council's supreme leader, High Counselor Rex, broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. Beings of the galaxy, witness the fate of those who defy the Council. Today, the human homeworld dies. Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge our authority. Dr. Karen White was aboard the hospital ship UES Mercy, but she was also monitoring the battle systems. The Valoran crystal weapons had been upgraded one final time. They now carried the combined knowledge of 6 different species, all working together to defeat the Council. All ships, Jake spoke into his radio, remember what Elder Zarthil told us. We die proud to call them allies. Today, we honor that friendship. The battle began when the Council fleet opened fire with their planet-killer weapons. Beams of pure energy, each one capable of destroying a moon, lanced toward Earth, but the planet's shields held. The Valoran crystal technology absorbed the energy and sent it back at the attacking ships. Impossible. High Counselor Rex screamed from his command center on Hegemon Prime. How are primitives blocking our most powerful weapons? Commander Alex Rodriguez led the first wave of human ships into battle. They moved like a pack of wolves, fast and coordinated. The Council ships tried to form their traditional wall formation, but the humans were already among them, tearing at their flanks. The Cathara trading ships used their speed to deliver boarding parties directly onto Council vessels. These cat-like aliens were excellent fighters in close combat, and they knew exactly where to strike to disable enemy ships. The mollusk gardeners unleashed their bioweapons. Strange plants and fungi began growing on Council ship hulls, eating through metal and disrupting electronic systems. The proud Council fleet began to look like it was being consumed by a jungle. But the real surprise came from the Sage Collective. These ancient beings revealed weapons that worked on principles beyond normal science. Council ships simply vanished from existence, or found their own weapons turning against them, or discovered that their engines were moving them backward through time. What sorcery is this? Demanded War Marshal Crotax, the Council's top military commander. His flagship was being attacked by tiny human fighters that seemed to appear and disappear at will. It's not sorcery, Jake replied over the radio. It's friendship, something you never understood. The tide of battle turned when the Liberation Front revealed their secret weapon. Young aliens from across the galaxy had infiltrated the Council fleet. At the crucial moment, they began sabotaging ships from the inside. Council vessels found their engines shutting down, their weapons firing at their own allies, their life support systems failing. This is impossible, High Counselor Rex raged. Our own people are turning against us. They were never your people, Admiral Grant replied. You conquered them, enslaved them, ruled them through fear, but you never made them loyal to you. President Mitchell watched the battle from Earth's command center. The space around his planet was filled with explosions and energy beams. Ships from both sides were dying, but the Council was losing more. Much more. Admiral Grant, he said over the radio, the whole galaxy is watching this battle. If we win, the Council's power is broken forever. If we lose, we won't lose. Lisa replied, we can't lose. Too many people are counting on us. The battle reached its climax when Jake Morrison led a direct assault on Hegemon Prime itself. The massive space station was the size of a small moon, armed with thousands of weapons. But it was also the symbol of Council power. If it fell, the Council's authority would crumble. All human ships, follow me, Jake ordered. We're going to end this war today. The U's vengeance led 50 human ships in a suicide run against the space station. Council defenders fired everything they had, but the human ships kept coming. They had learned something the Council never understood. Sometimes You have to be willing to die for what you believe in. Dr. White monitored the crystal weapon systems as they overloaded. Jake, the weapons are reaching critical levels. If you fire them all at once, your ship might not survive. Understood? Jake replied calmly. Alex, get ready to take command if I don't make it. Jake, no, Rodriguez called out. There has to be another way. There is, Jake said. But it requires someone to make the hard choice. The UES Vengeance broke through Hegemon Prime's defenses and flew directly toward the station's power core. Jake activated every Valoran crystal weapon on his ship at the same time. The energy discharge was so powerful it could be seen from light years away. But just before he fired, something unexpected happened. The station's own weapons turned on. Itself, the Liberation Front had succeeded in taking control of Hegemon Prime's systems. Instead of Jake sacrificing himself, the Council's own space station destroyed itself from within. High Counselor Vrex was trapped in his command center as his own weapons tore his station apart. In his final moments, he saw something that filled him with terror. Human ships rescuing Council survivors from the wreckage. Why? He gasped as human soldiers pulled him from the debris. Why save us? We are your enemies. Lieutenant Sam Brooks, who was leading the rescue team, looked at the alien with pity. Because that's what friends do. And maybe, if you're lucky, you'll learn what friendship means before you die. The Battle of Earth lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Council fleet was destroyed or scattered. Hegemon Prime was gone. The Galactic Council, which had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, ceased to exist. But the real victory came in the days that followed. Across the galaxy, species that had been enslaved for generations declared their independence. The truth speakers revealed the Council's crimes to every world. The Liberation Front formed new governments based on freedom and cooperation, not precedent. Mitchell stood before the cameras one final time. Behind him was a new flag, not just Earth's flag, but the banner of the Free Species Alliance. It showed stars of many colors arranged in a circle, representing all the species that had joined, together to fight tyranny. The war is over, he announced. The Galactic Council is no more, but our work is just beginning. We must build a new galaxy, one based on friendship instead of fear, cooperation instead of conquest, freedom instead of slavery. Captain Morrison. Return to New Valoran, now being rebuilt by human and alien workers together. The crystal cities were rising again, more beautiful than ever. In the center of the new capital, a memorial stood to Elder Zarful and all the Valorans who died for the crime of friendship. Dr. White supervised the construction of new schools where young beings from dozens of species learned together. Human. Children played with Kithara cubs, mollusk seedlings, and sage younglings. They were growing up in a galaxy where friendship was celebrated, not punished. Commander Rodriguez became the first human ambassador to the rebuilt Valoran government. The new elder, Zarthul's daughter Velana, shook his hand with her crystal fingers. Your father would be proud, Alex told her. His sacrifice saved the galaxy. No, Velana replied, her crystal skin shimmering with emotion. Your friendship saved the galaxy. My father just showed everyone what friendship was worth. Admiral Grant established the new Free Species Alliance Navy, with ships from every member species working together. The old Council fleets were destroyed or converted into exploration vessels. Instead of conquest, the galaxy's ships would be used for discovery and peaceful contact with new species. General Thompson helped establish the Alliance Defense Force, but its mission was different from any military in galactic history. Instead of attacking other species, it existed only to protect the freedom of all beings and to prevent any group from becoming as powerful and tyrannical as the old Council. In the end, the galaxy learned that Earth had not retaliated with mere rage. Humanity had retaliated with something far more powerful, the unbreakable bonds of friendship and the unshakable belief that all beings deserved to be free. The crystal cities of New Valoran gleamed in the sunlight once again. Children of many species played in streets lined with memorial gardens. And in the center of it all stood a simple monument with words in 100 languages. Here lie the Valorans, who died as friends and live.